In this presentation, we're going to look at various strategies to ask for and give information. Let's go. Asking for information can be as simple as asking for the time, or as complicated as asking for details about a complicated process. In both cases, it's important to use the appropriate form for the situation. For example, when asking for information from a friend, we can use a more informal form. When asking for information from a colleague, try to use a slightly more formal form, and when asking for information from a stranger, it is more polite to use an appropriately formal construction. Now let's look at the strategies to ask for information effectively. One way to do that is to use WH questions. So what are WH questions? WH questions are questions that begin with words that typically start with WH, except for how. These words are often used when we want to request information from someone. WH questions are used when you need detailed answers rather than a simple yes or no. The most common WH question words in English are who, what, where, when, why, which, and how. Mastering WH questions is important for several reasons. Now, let's go further into this topic. We're going to look at the examples of WH questions and the sample sentences. By studying these examples, you should be able to create your own sentences using WH questions to ask for and giving information effectively. We use who to talk about a person. For example, who is that? To answer this question you can say, it's our new neighbor. The next one is what. We use what to ask about a thing. For example, what is your favorite movie? Your answer can be I love the Orient Express. We use where to ask about a place. Here are some examples. Where do you live? Where is your school at? When we want to ask about time, we can use when. However, if we want to ask about clock time, we can also say what time. For example, what time does the concert start? Other examples of questions using when are when does the class start, and when do you start your new job? Next is why. We use why to ask about a reason. For example, why do you like reading so much? Another one is why did you call me? You can refer to the slide for the answers to these questions. You may also come up with your own answers to add more personal touch. We use which to ask about a choice. For example, which do you prefer, chicken or steak? Now, we've come to the final one. We use how to ask about a method, way. Some examples are, how do you turn on this computer? Or how did your presentation go? How is often used with another word such as much to ask about cost, or many to ask about an amount. Here are the examples. How much does this jacket cost? How many cats do you have? Here's what you need to know about forming and using WH questions correctly. Follow these 5 steps and you're ready to go. There are 2 basic patterns you can use to form WH questions in English. The first one is with no auxiliary. For examples, who is that? Or how are you? The second one is with auxiliary. So the examples go, what do you want? Or why did you quit? You might be wondering, what does auxiliary mean? Well, here you go. In questions, an auxiliary verb uses words like do, does, or did. It can also be a modal like can, or should. For different tenses, it can be will for future tense, or have for present perfect. In addition to using WH questions, you can also use these phrases to ask for information politely. Could you tell me? Do you happen to know? Can you shed some light on? Here are a few more examples. Could I ask you about? May I know? Could you clarify? Could you elaborate on? These phrases are great too. Could you provide more details about? Can I get some information on? Now what do you say when you need to give a reply to a request for information? Well, you can start your reply with one of the following phrases. These are informal phrases that you can use. And here are the phrases that are more formal. If you do not know, or have the exact answer to a request for information, you can always say no. Even though saying no is never fun, but sometimes it's necessary. In this situation, what you can do to at least help is to offer a suggestion as to where someone might find the information. For informal ones, you can say, "Sorry, I can't help you out. Sorry, but I don't know that. That's beyond me. Sorry." For more formal phrases, you can say, "I'm afraid I don't have the answer to that question. I'd like to help you. Unfortunately, I don't have that information." That's about it for this topic. Please do your revision well and good luck. Thank you for your time and attention.